Good evening. Today's regular meeting of the Lee County Board of Education is called to order. Dr. Miller, will you give the invocation?
Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to do business on behalf of your people. Give us wisdom and discernment to do what is right and best for the students and staff of Lee County Schools. Bless this gathering, the people here, and the Lee County school system. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
You have tonight's agenda before you. If there are no modifications, we can adopt by consent. First up, I believe we have another state finalist to recognize. Dr. Miller?
Yes, today we take time to recognize and honor the Lee County boys basketball team for their incredible season. The Trojans were 28-4 with only 3 regular season losses, advancing to the state championship game in Macon for the first time in 38 years. I would be remiss if I did not say a word of appreciation for the incredible support the team had all season from parents, family, friends, this community, especially on their run to the state title. I saw so many graduates that I knew who lived in the Atlanta area or came down to the games just because they were so proud of their Trojans, and that was wonderful to experience. The community turnout and Macon for the state championship game was truly amazing, truly amazing. Our community of 30,000 people had more people than their county with 90,000 people. So it was an awesome evening. Really proud of the team and all they've accomplished. This outstanding group of young men who played at such a high level. I, as a former basketball coach, they played team ball. They played together, and that I think was what made them so successful, in my opinion. But not only did these young men play well, but they are outstanding student athletes. They have a 3.7 team GPA, which is pretty awesome. And the star student this year is one of the team members. I know several of these young men. They represent our school and our community very well. So I would like them to stand up, and Coach Davis. And if y'all join me and celebrate with me.
I guess I'm supposed to say something. Thank you is the first thing that comes to mind. 9 years ago, I think I stood in the same building when they told me yes. Some said yes, some said no. And me and Mr. Dowler made a ride back to campus. We made a few promises to each other, and I think it all came to fruition. So I'm good. The fellas, the community, it's been a wonderful ride. I really appreciate it. I think the moments bigger than the game itself was the little send-off we had, just to see the kids and school and everybody out. Everybody removed their biases and any differences they had with each other, and it was one Lee County, and that was a good thing. And I think that was something that our kids can remember for years to come. Last minute is somebody that's been coming to our games, and for about 7 or 8 games during the season, I would get a pep talk and a hug. So I kind of want to give a hug back to this particular person. She and her husband would come and tell me, it's like, we're going to win tonight. The guys are playing well, I promise you that. And that's that cute little lady right there. I have a plaque for you, man. And you and the board. But since you're the one, and your husband would always come and give me that little pep talk before every game. Hopefully I'll continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats, guys.
One more round of applause right there.
The first item on tonight's agenda is approval of prior month minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the March 13th, 2023 regular business meeting and the March 30th, 2023 called meeting? May I have a second? Are there any corrections or questions from the board regarding the minutes? Being none, it is moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have been asked to approve the February 2023 financial statements. Is there a motion to approve the February 2023 financials included in tonight's board package? Is there a second? Are there any questions from the board? Being no questions, it has been moved and seconded that the February 2023 financials be approved as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion passes 5-0. You have tonight's consent agenda before you. Dr. Miller, would you like to discuss tonight's consent agenda?
Yes, ma'am. We have on the consent agenda tonight 10 recommendations for employment, 8 resignations, 1 retirement, 3 reassignments, 6 requests to raise funds, 2 out-of-state or overnight field trip requests, as well as 2 facility use requests, fairly routine.
May I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda as presented? Okay, is there a second? Second. Okay, are there any questions or discussions from the board? Being none, it's been moved and seconded that the current consent agenda be approved as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, Dr. Miller will present our monthly superintendent's reports.
We'll begin the reports, as we always do, with SPLOST collections. For the month of March 2023, collections came in at $375,737.03. That's down from $395,000 the previous year for the same time, about an $18,000 reduction over this time last year. I read recently that state economist Dr. Jeffrey Dorfman said that state collections were down about 3%. While we saw an almost 5% decrease, it still is the second highest total in SPLOST collections for the month of March since SPLOST began in the 90s, so it's still really good news. I'm proud of that. Under plant operations, let's pull up the PowerPoint. Yeah, as you can see from the pictures, the several projects were completed in last month, including some not listed here. You see some pictures of Butterfly Kisses. That park actually belongs to the school system, and our plant operations team updated the paint on the building there. And let me say a word here about the mural on the back of the building. It was not painted over, but it's probably going to need to be done painted over at some point. It's fading. So I contacted the person who was instrumental in getting that special needs play park established and discussed it with her. And our plan is to take the names of the children. If you look at that, there's not a picture of it, but if you look on the back, the butterflies each have a child's name, and we're going to take all those names and put them on a plaque and affix it to the building. She was fine with that. Also, real proud at Butterfly Kisses, we had one of our teachers ask about putting a ramp to the picnic pavilion. It was a slab of concrete under that pavilion, which is right out there, and it was not easy to get the wheelchairs up on there. This is a special needs playground. Our special needs classes visit there a lot for community-based instruction, and we were able to get some, a ramp put in for them, so it's more accessible. And I'm proud of our maintenance team. They took care of that very quickly, and it was being used just the other day. It's such pretty weather. We really have a lot of people use that playground. It's amazing, all day, weekends. Certainly our schools make good use of it as well. Recently, there's not a picture of this. We added some fencing at pre-K. We just want to have a little more protection up in that area, the upstairs, as they say, and this will help our students in case they get away from us. That doesn't happen often, but sometimes they'll run, and so we'll have a little protection there with that additional fencing. And that's the plant operations report. And you can see some other projects listed there. I didn't go over all of them. The technology is currently focusing on 3 areas. Testing, I don't know if the public realizes this, but all of the state testing is completed now using computers, so this requires a lot of support from our tech staff, and they do a great job. And we're about to enter into that season of testing. Summer projects will be updating cameras, the inventory we have of equipment, installation of new technology. And then finally, the third area of focus is security upgrades, which includes things like cameras and other safety measures to protect our students and staff. Moving right along to food service. Dr. Seuss's birthday is March 2nd, so we always have green eggs and ham on March 2nd, and that is in our K-5 schools, and that happened. I like green eggs and ham. I do. I like them Sam. I would not eat them in a boat, and I would eat them in a boat, and I would eat them with a goat. And it's amazing to see the kids that they're a little unnerved about trying it the first time, but they do. And you can see our food service staff. That's Miss Sheila Hayes, the lunchroom manager at Lee Elementary. She always goes all out like that, and you can see some of the green eggs and ham there. So we celebrated that. It was a lot of fun. All of our kitchens received a perfect 100 on their health inspections. Proud to say that. That's the 2nd time this year, and they are pretty consistent with that. In other big news, we received a grant of $22,000 from the state, and we used that money to purchase a Rationale combination oven for KPS. They call them combi ovens. They're pretty amazing what they can do, and I know that food service team is really proud of that. And I would also like to note that our school food service team provided 97,476 meals last month. Pretty awesome. I'm hoping we'll break 100,000. That's my goal. I want us to get there. We'll have more kids eating breakfast and lunch with us. That would be awesome. Student health services. Our school nurses had 4,621 clinic visits in March. As you can see, the majority of these being the daily medication visits. I'm proud to say that 92% of the students who went to the nurse returned to class. School nurses are so important, not only for the health of our students, but they really help us protect instructional time, because before school nurses were common in school, that was the teacher's job to hand out Band-Aids and help their sick student. So our nurses do a great job, and they free up our teachers to focus on learning. Finally, we have summer school guidelines. As we approach the end of the school year, we begin working towards next school year, and one of the opportunities we provide students is summer school. Today, we're presenting the summer school guidelines to the board for information. The educators met on this a few weeks ago, and we're ready to share the guidelines with you. And remember, this is procedure, not policy, so the board doesn't have to vote on this, but we do want to keep you in the know and the public as well, so they can see that. And that concludes my reports. Unless anybody has questions.
If not, we'll move ahead. Next, we have our public participation portion of the meeting, and this is the time that we as a board set aside for members of the public to address the board on issues of concern. We have one request from Ms. Jay Houston to speak tonight to the board regarding safety concerns at Lee County Middle School West. And as a reminder, we ask that comments be limited from 3 to 5 minutes. Ms. Houston?
Good evening, everybody. So as you may have heard, on March the 30th, my 12-year-old son, Raleigh, hit a vape in the bathroom at Lee County Middle School West that almost ended his life. When my husband got to my son, his heart rate was elevated to more than double his resting heart rate. His oxygen levels were dangerously low. His pupils were dilated. He couldn't speak. His speech was slurred. He could barely walk. It was a nightmare of epic proportions. When I took the vape to be tested, it took less than 5 seconds to confirm what I already knew in my gut, and that was that the vape was positive for THC and narcotics that the police believed to be fentanyl. Doctors and nurses agree that it is unexplainable today that he is alive. That was the statement made by multiple health professionals that we saw. Vaping is an epidemic in our middle schools. A quick Google search has proven that the Lee County school system has been made aware of this issue multiple times, as 3 news articles have been written dating as far back as 2019. In one of the articles, Kevin Dowling, our assistant superintendent, was quoted to say, "It's illegal, but somehow our kids are getting a hold of them, and that is something that we really need to look into. Where are they getting this from and how?" Since then, it's been made abundantly clear that on a middle school level, they are getting them from other students, and the majority of these transfers are occurring in the bathrooms. I know of parents in this room today that have made the school administration aware of this, but still nothing permanent has been done. On the day that my son was given a deadly substance while at school, I was told by Jonathan Dial, the assistant principal at that school, that resource officers were putting together a notice that would be sent out to parents, only to find out the next day that at the request of the central office, no notice was given to parents, despite knowing that a large majority of children at Lee County Middle School West vape at school and that there was a vape laced with deadly narcotics on the campus. Because there was no notice sent out, I did agree to WALB's multiple requests to publish the incident in an effort to make parents aware that this is happening, in hopes that it wouldn't happen to anyone else's child. WALB contacted the Lee County school system, and in a written statement, they were told that they were deeply concerned about the students. They mentioned that they were going to have a canine detection system where canines will check students for vapes on random days. They stated that there are discussions being held about vape detection systems going into the bathrooms, and that principals were planning trips to Albany's drug unit at Thronatisca. Upon speaking with Dr. Miller on March 31st, I was told they couldn't send home a notice to parents about drug-laced vapes because of FERPA, which is the Family Emergency Right to Privacy Act, which would have been in an effort to protect my privacy, away from my right to privacy, but still nothing was sent out, which didn't really add up to me, because when head lice exist, notices are sent out, and when COVID happened, notices were sent out. And when other vaping incidents had happened as early back as 2021, there were notices sent out. So I inquired about the dogs that were mentioned to WALB, and there was a program held at the high school to introduce that canine program. Middle schoolers were only shown a video of that program. They were not in attendance at the program. It goes without saying that videos of programs aren't really effective for middle schoolers, just being honest. I was told they would be attending around peak drug use times, and those 2 events that were mentioned to me don't affect middle schoolers at all. The vape detectors are still in discussion stage, and no purchases or decisions have been made as of March the 31st. I do believe that vape detectors are a step in the right direction, and they might deter some students, but in other schools, they've proven to be ineffective, as children are able to bypass them easily by just covering up with plastic bags, covering up with their jacket, or I've even been told that you can blow an excessive amount of smoke into them and it disables them. So I do believe the intentions are good, but I don't believe that that will be effective. When I inquired about field trip dates to Thronatisca's drug safety display, nothing was scheduled yet. I want to be clear that I'm not excusing my son from his poor decision. Anyone that knows you will tell you that I have extensive conversations with my children regularly about vaping, and I believe in accountability. This has been my worst nightmare, it truly has. Since my son's exposure to fentanyl, he's seen a therapist and a psychologist to deal with long-lasting side effects from narcotic exposure. My son, who typically loves and lives for basketball, runs cross-country and wrestles with his brothers, still can't catch his breath after doing simple things like jumping up to touch a door frame, like every single middle schooler that you know likes to do. It's still unknown if these physical effects will be permanent, and while those side effects are significant, the hardest part has been the emotional side effects that have led him to think that if his life can't include the things he loves, then he doesn't want to live it. He's now medicated on a mood stabilizer in hopes that he will hang on long enough to have something to look forward to. I'm sorry. I will not excuse his poor choices in any way, as we've had hundreds of conversations with our children about making good choices and the dangers of vaping. Despite my belief that almost dying has been punishment enough, Because of his actions, he will be spending the remainder of his 7th grade year at TLC, the alternative campus, which is by policy, and I'm fine with that because I believe in accountability. But my question for you guys today is, who holds you accountable? I can't help but wonder who is holding you guys accountable. The safety of the children in the Lee County school system rests on the shoulders of the school board, the superintendent, and the administration. It is important to note that this is not a new problem. Unfortunately, this is not even the first time children have been hospitalized as a result of vaping in our school system. And sadly, with a recent case of vaping reported at Twin Oaks Elementary, it appears as though children that vape are getting younger and younger. By the way, a notice went home to parents about that. I do not believe that dogs will be effective, as students will know when they are here and just text each other to ditch their vapes. If they only come at peak times, this is completely ineffective for children in middle school. The vape detectors, like I said, might deter some children, but for children determined to defy boundaries, like I mentioned earlier, those are easily bypassed. It is my belief that the only way to remedy this situation is with human monitors. When I mentioned this to Dr. Miller, he did point out that nobody wants that job. We have a hard time with bus drivers. Nobody wants to be a bathroom monitor, and I do agree that that would be hard. But when I asked Jonathan Dial, the assistant principal at the Middle School West campus, the principal that handles most disciplinary actions, what would be the best way to end vaping in the bathrooms, without hesitation, he said human monitors, and I concur. A proactive, preventative approach to bathroom vaping will be much more effective than a reactive, post-action disciplinary approach. When researching proactive versus reactive approaches to behavior prevention, it has been found that with reactive management, the problem was never truly rooted out. But with proactive approaches, people are able to eliminate the possibility of problems even occurring in the first place. I'm not proposing monitors that sit in the bathroom all day, but in the same way we have a staff rotation for monitors in the lunchroom and monitors in car pickup line for safety reasons, we can have monitors at the bathroom entrances during prime bathroom times, before school, during breaks, and between classes. If there's not enough staff for this, hire more. Hire more. I would even propose a possible double solution, as I understand that most bus drivers are hard to retain because of lack of hours, that we allow them to serve in paid safety positions during the day. These monitors could allow students in the bathrooms as stalls prevent. For example, if there are 4 stalls, then you just allow 4 children into the bathroom at a time. And as they exit, allow more students to enter. I agree that this is not an ideal part of anyone's job, but the Lee County School System states in its mission, vision, and values that they want to ensure that everyone has an environment in which they feel safe, valued, and loved. Additionally, I've just spent the last few months judging the Daugherty County School System's Teacher of the Year competition. Part of that competition required me to go into several DCS schools to observe their staff. I only point that out because I've never been in any other schools besides Lee County's, because I've never had a reason to. But every school that I visited there verified my identity after having me walk through metal detectors. I also mentioned the metal detectors to Dr. Miller, as a lot of vapes could be detected by metal detectors. And he said that as a decision, you guys have decided that the school really shouldn't feel like a prison, and the money was a concern. But in 2023, when more than 377 school shootings have occurred since Columbine, I would argue that safety and imprisonment are not the same thing. As a mother of 6 children with various learning disabilities and abilities, ages, and interests, I can attest that despite their differences, they all unanimously agree that safety should be the #1 priority, and none of them would be afraid of or intimidated by metal detectors. In a day and age where children practice active shooter drills as often as they practice storm and fire drills, I would like to say that safety against all forms of danger should be the #1 priority: vapes, weapons, etc. My son almost lost his life while in the care of Lee County School System, and I feel as though I have been met with opposition after opposition when it comes to preventing this from happening to another one of my children or the children of someone else. In my day-to-day professional role, I serve as the Director of Resource Development and Marketing for an organization that prioritizes the safety of more than 1,200 of the most at-risk children in Southwest Georgia. I understand that the complexities come with policy and with change, but I want to be clear that I'm not asking anything of you guys that I don't already require of myself. I'm not proposing that extravagant measures be taken. I'm just asking that safety becomes prioritized. The Lee County School System gets a lot of things right, and that's indisputable, but right now the Lee County School System is failing at keeping our kids safe. Even one hospitalized child is too many, especially when they are there because of something that could be so easily prevented. I implore you to live up to the safety standards that you set for yourselves and that I know you are capable of in order to make the Lee County School System a true tradition and excellence. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to attend tonight's meeting and to share your concerns with the board. Let me say the Lee County School System Central Office, our administration, and our teachers constantly work to maintain a safe and healthy learning environment for our students. The challenges faced by our students today are unprecedented, that's no question. There are many different views in the community on how to best address these challenges, and only by working together can we, as a system and parents, address those challenges faced by the students. We will consider your concerns under advisement. Next, we will move to discussion and action items. First up, the first item of business under discussion and action is to approve the appointment of the next principal of the Lee County Middle School East. Dr. Miller, would you like to make your introductions?
Yes, Mrs. Maggie Grange is my recommendation for the principal of Lee County Middle School East. Maggie has over 2 decades experience as an educator, including 14 years in the classroom where she taught advanced math, including AP Calculus at the high school level, and 9 years as an administrator, including her current position as principal of a Georgia Lighthouse Middle School to watch. Maggie and her husband Jeff are proud graduates of Lee County High School, and I recommend her to the board. I recommend to the board to hire Mrs. Maggie Grange as the next principal of Lee County Middle East. And I think y'all need, we'll call on her.
May I have a motion to appoint Ms. Maggie Grange as the next principal of Lee County Middle School East? May I have a second? I'll second it. Are there any further questions or discussion from the board? Being none, it is motioned and seconded to appoint Ms. Maggie Grange as the next principal of Lee County Middle School East. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Not sure.
Stay. Okay, motion passes with 4, no against, 1 abstention. 2 abstentions. Okay, so motion passes. Ms. Grange?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Maggie, would you stand up, please, and we want to congratulate you.
I'm looking forward to being part of Lee County school system. It's great to be back in Trojan country, and I'm just so excited for the next school year. Thank you so much for appointing me.
Congratulations. The next item of business under discussion and action items is the request for approval of recommended changes to policy DIB financial reports. We've had a first reading of this. Dr. Miller, would you like to refresh us on the changes?
I'll just say that this is an update of policy DIB financial reports that includes recommended changes from the Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts. Please note that the changes are in red, and Mr. Kelly's here if you have any questions.
Basically, just adding intangible assets.
May I have a motion to approve the revised policy DIB financial reports? May I have a second? Are there any further questions or discussions from the board? Being none, it is motioned and seconded to approve the revised policy DIB financial reports as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, we have, the next item, we have been requested to approve a correction to the September 12th, 2022 board minutes. Please cover that.
The bond millage rate reflected in the September 12th, 2022 board minutes is 1.0. The actual millage rate set and used by the tax commissioner is 0.8. The minutes need to be adjusted to reflect the correct rate. Let me reassure everyone that the millage rate used by the tax commissioner is correct and no one was overcharged with regard to the bond rate. And I recommend the board approve the modification of the minutes as presented.
May I have a motion to approve the correction to the September 12th, 2022 board minutes to reflect the correct bond rate of 8 tenths? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Are there any further questions from the board? It is motioned and seconded to approve the correction to the September 12th, 2022 board minutes as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Under discussion and action items, the board has been asked to approve the 2023-2024 non-certified staff employee recommendations. Dr. Miller, will you please present those recommendations?
Yes, we are requesting the board approve a list of non-certified employees presented here. Lee County Schools have 326 non-certified employees who are vital to have in school, including bus drivers, riders, mechanics, paraprofessionals, nurses, technology specialists, custodians, grounds maintenance, clerical, and food service staff. We need each and every one of them to have school, and I recommend the board approve the list as presented.
May I have a motion to approve the 4-year end non-certified staff employee recommendations as presented? May I have a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or discussion from the board? Okay. Being none, it is moved and seconded to approve the 4-year end non-certified staff employee recommendations as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Under discussion and actions items, we have been requested to approve the contract with Ingenuity. Dr. Miller, will you please cover this service?
Yes, the contract for the current program our alternative school uses to provide online instruction expires at the end of the school year. And after a thorough vetting process, we're recommending this new program to meet this need. We actually used Ingenuity during the pandemic to provide services to some families. I would like to recommend this to the board to be approved for next year for alternatives.
May I have a motion to approve the contract with Ingenuity for use at the Transitional Learning Center? Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions or further discussion from the board?
I do have a question. In the description of the quote that they gave the school system, there is an add-on for, and I certainly do understand plagiarism, but there's a speed radar. What does that mean?
I do not know. I can call on Ms. Erin Olson, is our director of alternative school. She can answer that question.
The speed radar monitors the students' use of the programs and makes sure that they aren't just clicking through the program. It pauses and makes the students attend to that page before they move forward. So it's forcing the students to apply themselves, to read what's on the page, to watch the video, to interact with the activities that are on the screen.
Oh, okay. I didn't quite understand that. So they have, I looked over the curriculum, everything is covered in the curriculum. And then there's a tutor program if they don't, that is also a part of this program, so that they can go back and get additional help through this online tutor.
Yes, ma'am. There's additional supports that are built in as they need. Our staff varies and, because of the population that we have. So sometimes we will have a staff member that will have to monitor a class that they are not certified in. And so this program will give us that ability to give the students as much instruction as they need.
Is there any portion of this program that, and maybe even the tutoring portion, that would be live, that there would be, someone, or is it all reading?
There are components that are additional for live, but the videos that are in there are live people teaching the concepts. So the students will watch a recorded video of people live teaching.
Okay, I think that helps sometime. I think that there are errors, in interpreting words that they might not understand, might not be able to pronounce them, and not be able to define them. Okay, thank you.
That was one of the things that we liked best about this program, is the live videos. The other programs that the faculty looked at altogether didn't offer that.
Thank you.
Any further questions? It is motioned and seconded to approve the contract with Edgenuity for use at the Transitional Learning Center as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, this is just for discussion purposes only. You, in your packet, you've been given a copy of the GSBA Government's Team Self-Assessment. We must formally complete the self-assessment in order to meet eligibility requirements to achieve exemplary board status awarded and determined by GSBA. Thoughtful consideration and use of this instrument affords us an additional opportunity to increase the effectiveness of our board. Please take some time to complete the self-assessment and please prepare and return to Jennifer no later than Monday, May 22nd, 2023, and she will compile our responses for our review at the next meeting. Dr. Miller, you have anything to add to that? I think she left an extra copy at your place also. Are there any questions? And lastly, under discussion action items, we need to enter into an executive session to discuss personnel matters. There will be no new business upon return from the executive session. May I have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
The executive session is to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation, or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent.
Is there a second? Are there any questions? If none, it has been motioned and seconded to adjourn to executive session as stated. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank y'all.